So I'm privileged to be able to introduce our keynote speaker for today's conference. We have Sandip Dholakia, who has flown in fresh from Detroit, Michigan, to join us. Sandip is is with SAP America as the chair for cryptography, their cryptography innovation hub. A little bit about Sandip so that I can sing his accolades without stealing too much of his thunder. He's a very seasoned leader and information security professional with experience across so many various and extensive security domains. He's, again, the chair of the SAP Cryptography Center of Excellence, the chair of the SAP Security Content Governance Board, Global CyberSecurity Advisor for SAP Global Security and Compliance Group. He's managed end-to-end security activities for large functional business units, implemented a lot of security measures across the complete system development life cycle while enforcing enterprise IT security policies, industry best practices. He has a huge, beautiful list of achievements, including being a U.S. patent holder, a number of industry certifications, publications, a CIO award, a Cisco Security Ninja Black Belt, and more. He's on the PQC Conference Review Committee as a member there, where he reviews and approves post-quantum cryptography-related presentations and papers for their conferences, and it's a particular area of expertise that he offers. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to him as he takes us through an incredibly enthralling topic around quantum threats. Is Q-Day worse than Y2K? Strategies for surviving the quantum threats. Please give a very warm welcome for Sandip.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Brendan, for that long introduction. I don't know if I have all that right, but lately, last 10 years, so we have to write everything on LinkedIn, right? Everything we do, we put it up on LinkedIn, so it's good. Before I start, right, I have a disclaimer. I actually stutter while talk. I choke, plus I have an accent, right? So I'm very difficult to understand at times. But I will talk as slow as I can. So hopefully you all understand me. And if you still don't understand me, I will take it as your problem. I'm going to start with the clicker here, or do I face it to the screen or something here? There you go. Nope. Okay. So this topic is slightly heavy, right? Especially after lunch. So let's take some pulse. Let's see how much we know before I get started. And I will try to keep at a high level, but still I want to know how much you know about quantum mechanics and quantum computing. Raise your hand if you know about it. Okay, few hands. Let's increase our odds, right? Let's say this. How much you know about encryption cryptography? Probably more hands. Good. Let's increase our odds even further, right? Have you tried checking out your neighbor or boss? No, but jokes apart, right? We are here to figure out, is Q-Day worse than Y2K? And if it is, then what can we do about it, right? That's our goal in next 40 minutes or so. So let's get cranking. But Andrew already told everything, but I just wanted to make sure you know why I can talk about this, which I think he already talked, so it saves me a slide here. So here is what's on the tab today right now, the agenda. We will just set the stage, some introduction, because very few hands went up about quantum mechanics. Then we'll define the problem, right? What's the issue with the quantum mechanics and encryption? And we'll try to solve it, or propose a solution. We'll talk about it. And at the end, we'll have some takeaways. So that's the plan for next 45 minutes or so. So what is Q-Day, right? So Q-Day essentially is a day or a time when we have enough qubits, right? A quantum computer strong enough to break our encryption. That's basically in a nutshell, right? I mean, we will have, when we will have enough qubits that our encryption that we rely on right now we do everything, right? Internet is, we hope that everything is safe, but when we have enough qubit, that situation may change, and that day is basically they define as a Q day. We don't know when it is, right? Because there is no right now we don't have enough qubits, and Google and Amazon and everybody is trying to get there, including IBM is actually front runner. So we are trying to still estimate the date, and is tentatively early 2030s, but we don't know the exact day when the Q day will come. So why it is important, right? Because see, like when we had the Y2K, we had the defined date. We know how much it would cost to fix all these dates all over the place in the software. At that time, the price was 330 billion, and right now it could be 550 billion, right, in today's dollar. And it had a defined impact, right? We knew that if we don't do it in this software, what could happen. On the flip side, right now with the Q day, we don't even know, right? What is, I mean, what is the impact, right? Because we don't know how many implementations are there in the world of a PQ of PKI, right? The public key encryption. So these are the unknowns, and because of these unknowns, right? We don't know what would be the impact and how much it will cost us. Like according to one estimate, as of December 2025, we have around 60 billion with B, 60 billion public key, public key around the world. You know, we have public key, 60 billion public key encryption schemes around the world. As of December 2025. Now, we don't know how many of these we are going to fix it in next 5 years, and like those which we are not able to fix, how bad the impact would be, right? Would it be like flying plane will crash down, or something go wrong in the hospital? We don't know, right? So these are the unknowns. So it is why people are more scared about Q day than Y2K. So what is quantum mechanics, right? That's what we want to know in quickly. Now, I'm not going to read the lines, but basically ChatGPT and Wikipedia and everybody has their definition. But in a nutshell, right, anything happens under the hood, right, the metaphysics level, whatever the behavior displayed by electrons, photons, and ions, that behavior is basically quantum mechanics in a simple term, right? Now, it's a 4-year degree, so it's difficult to teach everybody in 20 minutes. Quantum physics is like a bachelor's degree. But what important to us is like two terms, right? One is superposition, another is basically entanglement, and the other is entanglement. Now, superposition basically means that electron or photon could be in the same state at the same could be in the two state at the same time, meaning when electron spins up, it can also spin down. Or like photon, if it's traveling vertically, it can also travel in this direction, like horizontally, at the same time, right? Which does not happen like in our physical world, right? So this is something new. So this is superposition, that ability of electron or photons to be in two states at the same time. Other important term we want to know is entanglement. What is entanglement? Entanglement is ability of electron or photons to be in synchronization, in sync, even if they are far apart physically. Meaning one is here, other is in LA. And if they are in synchronization, if one moves up, like one electron moves up, other would automatically move down. Do you want to try? Move up, move down. You know, it will wake you up. But anyway, so no, the point here is, so these two terms are very important. And remember this superposition being two states at the same time happens only like under the hood, right? Say I'm from Detroit, so we use terms like this, right? Under the hood. We don't taste stuff, right? We kick the tires. But anyway, so like under the hood happens, right? It doesn't happen in physical world, because if that happens, right, my wife would for sure have two of me and one doing the dishes all day. So, but that's not quantum. That's a miracle if she can do that. But so this happens in the metaphysical level, obviously, right? Now, the key here, we want our electrons, photons to, we want electrons and protons in state, right? As long as we can, because longer we are in this not at state, right? The superposition, entanglement, better output. And right now that is the difficulty we are having. We have the qubits, but because of the noise and interference, we can't maintain this state long enough. Now, this time that we are in the state is called coherence time. And longer the time, better the output, more effective the output. But the difficulty we have maintaining this coherent state. Now, as soon as we measure this state, right, as soon as we try to probe it, it decodes. We go back to one state. And we don't want that until long enough time that we have this. Now, I know it's difficult to understand. So in 1935, okay, so almost 90 years ago, a scientist named Erwin Schrödinger, a German, he actually did he actually proposed an experiment. He said, let's put some bad food, right, something like poison, in the cage, and put a cat in the cage. Now close the cage and leave the cat inside for an hour. Now that 1 hour is basically our coherence time. During that time, for us, from outside, cat is live and dead both at the same time. So that is basically the state he was trying to explain. That is a superposition state because we don't know. Now as soon as you open the cage, all bets are off, right? Because now we are decoursed. So we will come to one state. We will know whether the cat is alive or dead. We will have only one state at that point. So that is the whole experiment. He actually, that's yeah. And like if you love cats or animal, he didn't do this, right? There was no harm to animals. Cat didn't die. It was just to explain it, right? How it works. It's why I did it. And I think we already talked about coherence time and is important. So yeah, so this is the coherence time. But this is all very difficult to understand. And if you don't understand, you are not alone, right? You are a lot of company. Like Richard Feynman, he actually told, right, that it's safe to say that I don't think anybody understands this metaphysics level stuff, right? I mean, he was crazy. And actually, 1981, he actually published a paper, Richard Feynman, and he actually proposed that we can't build quantum computer with our digital bits. We need qubits to do that. And after that, in 1986, I think everybody jumped on building the qubits and all that, and we are still trying. In 1932, right, Einstein said about this phenomena of entanglement. He said that it's like spooky action at a distance. And our cat guy, right, Schrodinger, he's actually sorry that he has to do anything with that. But I actually think if you don't understand, just get married. Your wife will or your spouse will keep you busy. So nothing to worry about quantum mechanics. Just have a spouse and you are done. So now that we are expert in the basics of quantum mechanics, we will learn how we can use in computing. So the the digital computers, right? The digital gates that we know, it could be 0 or 1. We can't be in the two state at the same time. They are like only two state, 0 or 1. And the speed comes from the CPU or the clock cycle, right? The faster the clock cycle, or like the faster the clock cycle, RAM, throughput, data speed, all that, right? We have, the better the output. We can't really do anything more than that. On the other hand, qubit is the 3D bits. It can be in two states, like I said, right? That's very important. At the same time, and the speed comes from like all hands on deck, right? Because all qubits in two states at the same time. So, how many of you know like digital electronics or binary? Okay, good enough. So like if you take three digit, right, 000 to 111, the that the gates that we have right now, the digital circuit, it could be only in one state out of those 8, right? Either 000 or 111, right? It can't be in all 8 at the same time. But if you have 3 qubits, we could be in all 8 states at the same time. So it would start pumping out the action in all 8 different states at the same time, right? This is where the power comes from. So let me explain without technical terms, right? In a class, a teacher in a mathematics class, a teacher had basically 11 students. One was very smart, genius, gifted, right? Other 10 were average. Other 10 were average like me. So teacher gave a quiz to this 11 student that smarty finished the question in minutes because he took 1 minute per question. He was done. The average students, they took 3 minutes per question. So they each took 30 minutes. Teacher said, oh, this is not working. I have to improve. Next week in the quiz, he did again 10 questions. He gave 10 questions to that smarty pants, but one question each to those 10 students. Now this time, each student worked at the same time, but a different problem. So each finished the problem in 3 minutes. So the 10 problems were solved in 3 minutes instead of 10 minutes, or like 30 minutes. Does that make sense? And like the smart kid, even he was very smart, he could not beat that because he could still do the whole paper solve in 10 minutes or the quiz in 10 minutes, right? So this is how qubit works, right? They actually divide the work and work at the same time with a different state. That is what makes it more effective, and this is why digital computer can't beat that. Digital computer essentially can work as fast as the clock speed, RAM, CPU, right? And that's basically people always mistakenly talk between quantum computer and supercomputer. They are two different. Supercomputer still works on the digital principles, and it cannot do better than the clock speed and RAM and throughput. While qubit definitely works on a different principle, like all hands on deck, right? So they actually have more output and faster output. So that is the difference between supercomputer and quantum computer. I'm not going to read this, but you got the point, right? And I think we are going to upload these slides on the website or somewhere. Somebody told me, so you can read it later. But you got the point. Basically, the quantum computer works based on the principle of having and the multiple state at the same time and divide the work. So if you have to do the factorization as an example, right, which is what encryption. So factorization works. The qubits can do factorization at the same time, like all qubits are working. Like in digital world, right, we do one step at a time. So that's why encryption is at risk, right? But this is new, right? Like I said, we use this quantum mechanics, quantum physics since 1930s, and we have like GPS and how we figure out where is the oil, and everything is based in. We use these theories. So this is not new. Even in 1960, right, a Britisher named Stephen Weisner, he actually proposed that we should use the photon sequence to make sure that how we number the dollar bills, maybe pound in his case, but like the money bills, right? And he actually proposed this, and people laughed actually earlier at him, and they said, "Oh, this is not good." But in 1983, they actually published this paper again. And the problem in 1983, 1960, 1983, and even now, is this that it is too expensive, right, to put this photon sequence in every money bill or dollar bill. It would cost more than actual dollar value, and it's not practical. Plus, we still have a difficulty maintaining the coherence time, right? Long time. So all these on the stake. So it's not practically, we can't implement it practically. But there was, so my point is, this is what we are trying to do right now. It's not new, right? It has been around. It just, we haven't implemented it effectively so far. So what is at stake, right? So in 1994 at MIT, Peter Shor, he actually proposed. He said if you have enough qubits, right, we could do the factorization. Like I said, right, instead of doing 10 problem at the same time, each student do one problem, and each qubit would try to factor one number, right? And the factorization would work, and we can break the public key encryption, the PKI, right? We could break public key uh, cryptography. That was in 1994. So we knew that our encryption is at risk for 32 years now, right? It's not that we figured out 3 years ago and we are trying to make it work now. In 1996, right, at the other end of the country, at Caltech, Love Grover proposed another theory that if we have enough qubits, we could speed up the database search. So if you are like Google or some big company where you have petabytes of data and you have enough qubits, you could increase the speed by 4 times to do a search with his paper, with his theory. The problem is we also use it to break something, right? So hackers already worked on it, and we figured out that symmetric encryption is weakened. It's not broken like public key. The symmetric is weakened. We increase the key size, we are still good. But when you increase the key size again, you have to slow down the speed, and it takes longer to encrypt and decrypt and all that drawback. So we still have to work around those things. But so this is the gist of the problem, right? Which was in mid-90s. How does RSA work, right? I'm sure most of you know how RSA works, but it basically works on the two keys, right? These P and Q, two numbers, and the N is the number that we want. So if you know P is 3, for example, and Q is 5, N is 15. Easy math, right? But if you know N is 15, there are like so many different options, right? P could be 1, Q could be 3, 5, 3, 3, 5, 1, 15, 15, 1, right? All that. So for a small number like 15, we can do that, right? It's not a big deal. But when the number is like 250 digit number, right? Like this, the RSA use this number for encryption right now. To find P and Q from this, it's is almost practically impossible. You need 2700 cores or CPUs running at the same time for one full year to break this number to find P and Q. But if we have enough qubits, right? Every qubit will do one number, dig, and it will start punching out. And the claim is the theory. Obviously, we don't have enough qubits, so we don't know. But the theory which Peter Shor proposed in 1994 says that we could easily factor large number like this, right? So that is why we are at risk once the quantum computer comes around. So yeah, I already talked that, right? So we basically we dependent on the slow computers that it will not be able to break this encryption. But we did not really do anything like right. We use like 10th grade math, the factorization, and we hope that the PC will not be able to calculate as fast. So that was the idea, and because of that, the factorization, the discrete log, and the elliptic curve, the cryptography, ECC, they are all at risk because if you have enough qubits, we can calculate all of this. The private key for all of this from the public. That is the problem, basically. Are you guys with me so far, or I'm losing you? Good. Okay, thank you. So yeah, I just talked. When I say broken, it's not really practically because we don't have enough qubits, right? But this is on paper. It's proven that if you have enough qubits, the RSA, Hadafi-Hillman, elliptic curve, all these can be broken. The AES and SHA are basically the symmetric, so they are weakened. And the last three are basically the post-quantum cryptography primitives or algorithms. And they are not broken yet, but then again, they are not being used heavily. You don't know, right? Okay, now we don't have it yet, right? So why worry right now? I mean, okay, we'll see when it comes around, right? Why bother now? Let us eat lunch, right? But there is an attack called. Uh, so basically, they collect the data now and decrypt it whenever they have enough qubits, right? So they are basically tap the data on the wire and collect every data they can get right now. And they probably store it in their basement. And when they have enough qubits, hacker will decrypt that. Now, if I text you what's for lunch, and you said, oh, it's good, and if hacker tap that data and decrypt it 10 years from now or 5 years from now, who cares, right? That's, I mean, we don't care, right? Why lose our lunch time for that? But what happens if I'm applying for a loan application at a bank, right? Like home mortgage, and hacker tap that and save it. Now, 10 years from now, my bank account number may have changed, my credit card number may have changed, my home address also may have changed, right? Will change probably in like 10, 15 years from now. But the things that will not change, like my SSN, my name, my date of birth, my mother's maiden name, so they can keep this data for 10 years, and when they have enough qubits available, they can order one from Amazon and decrypt, and they have our information right at their fingertips. And then they can apply for $1 million, and we have to pay the installments. So it's what hackers are trying to do, right? Collect the data now, although they can't see what the data is, but hopefully they will have enough data in next 5 years that get everybody's social date of birth, names, mother's maiden name. And these data are called long shelf life data because they don't expire regardless of even if I die. I mean, not if, but when I die, my SSN will still be that, right? And my name will still be that, my date of birth. So those data would never expire. And that's what they're trying to collect now and then decrypt 5 years later. So that is why we want to wake up now and protect it before too much data out with people and countries. Because there is one blog I just read a couple weeks ago by Mike McLean. And I don't know how he knows this. Maybe he knows somebody in China, but he actually claims that China is actively collecting this information, all the American intel, right, from our Pentagon and everything. And they are going to store it for 10 years. And then when they have enough qubits, they are going to decrypt and know everything, what Pentagon is up to, and NSA and everything, right? I don't know how much is true, but this is out on the web, and there's a link. When you get these slides, click the link to that blog, and it will take you there. So how real is the threat, right? Okay, we know Peter Short told us on the paper that it can be done and all that. But if we have like ECC, right, elliptic curve, that's one of the best one right now available, right? Very, extremely efficient and more robust encryption scheme, right? So if you want to break that, right, 256-bit elliptic curve or ECC, if you want to break that, we need 317 million physical qubits. And these are noise free, right? We have to maintain that. Remember the coherence time? Yeah, we have to maintain that to break it in 1 hour. So we have to have 317 million qubits work in order for 1 hour without noise interference, and then we can break that. So that's long way to go. We have 200-300 qubits right now, right? So there's a long way to go. But if we want to do it in 1 day, we could do it with fewer qubits, like 13 million. So we have some improvement if we expand the time. But then again, the key is if we do it for 1 day, the time, manage the time in the sync and everything, right? The coherence time. But this was 3 years ago, in 2023. In 2025, actually, Google published a paper and they said, oh, we can do RSA at 2048 bit in 1 week. So we are the point. The reason I wanted to show this slide is the point is we are increasing, right? The time is decreasing. We are increasing the advancement in the technology of qubit, and we are approaching there, right? And recently, Google published a statement stating that we should be ready for quantum threats by 2029. So it's not even early 30s now, and we don't know why they say that, but they did make the statement that we will be ready for quantum threat by 2029. So the the timeline is basically getting shorter by every few months whenever they have new release. So why it is difficult, right? What's the problem? Why can't we just, okay, if it's difficult, let's move on to PQC, right? Why worry? Why talk about and discuss all this? Because, if like history is any indication, right, it takes us long time to replace cryptography algorithms. Like MD5, as an example, was first cracked in 2004, and we still use it now. SHA-1, 2005, we still have it around. RSA, like you see the third line from the bottom, is like dipping down, but we still have it, right? So this is the reason that it takes us 25, 20 years, 20 plus years to move out of one cryptography primitive. And right now we're talking everything like 60 billion applications, right? To move to PQC, like post-quantum cryptography. So it will be a nightmare, right, if you don't act properly and right away. Why it takes so long, right? And obviously you all probably know all this. This is not new. This is like software engineers and developers and security people know all this, right? But I just wanted to quickly talk about this. So downward, right? I mean, if I use SHA-2, but you are not upgraded to SHA-1, I can't do it because we have to talk to each other. So that's number one issue, right? And like many times, companies like Cisco, SAP, we all acquire, right, different small companies, and the small companies are still on the older protocols. And if they are not upgraded, the whole company has to stay on the older, on the basically MD5, and it is what happened, right? Like the chart that I showed earlier, right? This one, this chart is from Brian, and he was actually head for Windows in Seattle, Windows the cryptography implementation team, Windows team, cryptography team, and he said in this like in 2019 RSA, he actually presented this chart, and he said that Windows have 50 different MD5 implementation, 50, and it was like it it actually took them 10 years to find out every implementation and why they are done the way they were done, why they are different from each other, and then fix all those to SHA-2, right? So it takes long time, right? And if one is staying in MD5, then other is probably forced to stay on MD5. And like other thing is like, protocols like SHA-2, they don't work backward. They don't work with SHA-1. So that's another issue, right? If I'm talking to someone who has not upgraded, I will have to stay on SHA-1, and that creates another problem. Why I can't immediately decide to improve or like change my protocol from SHA-1 to SHA-2. The other one is a lack of comparison. So basically, there are two things here, right? One, we don't upgrade it regular. I'll talk both at the same time. Yeah, one we don't upgrade everything at the same time, right? Like the key size, right? If you have to increase the key size, we know, right, that we should increase the key size to make it more stronger, but we don't do that because doing that it takes a lot of time. Number one, it could break something that we don't know of. Plus, it would slow down everything, right? Because now the longer the key size, so it will take longer in like every time we encrypt or decrypt the data, it will take longer. And if you want to reduce that time, you have to upgrade your VM to more throughput and CPU and RAM and all that. So it's not just okay, I decide to upgrade this and I can upgrade. There are a lot more things behind the scene, and same thing is true, right? If we don't upgrade our VM at the same time, we still can't get up to the speed on these things. So these are the various factors, right? why people don't upgrade immediately and why MD5 is still around. Things like this. And last but not the least is in when we started this implementation of cryptography back in 90s, right? We did not have this plug and play, right? We did not have Pi and everything and Java and all that we have right now. That take the module, put it in. So everything was hard coded, and those are still around, right? And we have to replace those things. And this is why it is important. See, like this. Actually, the example or that in 2012 we discovered Heartbleed, right? It was there's no component to plug and play, right? People have literally coded the code inside, the software inside, and it took them 8 years. And like after 8 years, even there are like 250,000 applications will still running software with the Heartbleed. So you know, it is taking us long time, right? And like this 250,000 that we knew of, right? I mean, people came out and said, hey, we still run this Heartbleed. Like there are so many people, right, wouldn't really tell us. And they probably don't even know, right? So this kind of problems basically delaying us. And it is why I think it's best if we start early, basically. I'm sorry, So how can we fix it, right? I mean, all of us know, right? The basic agile software. We know we have to keep the software agile. We have to go through iterations. And yeah, and we did that, right, effectively everywhere except for encryption. We did not implement that basically agility in this area for some reason. Maybe because it was working fine. Why bother, right? So we have to do that now to fix all this problem. First, obviously, we have to be vigilant about this. Then the very important step is inventory, right? We have to know what we have to protect it, right? And we have to create the C bomb, right? The cryptography bomb. And then there are many tools out there. We don't have to do it like by hand with spreadsheet or anything, right? I mean, we could, but it takes a long time. And there are many tools available now. And like there are some of the open source free tools, right? We are as effective. And basically the goal is in the first step is to find out what we have and how important it is. I mean, are there long shelf life data? Are there PIIs or like any other information, right? That we need to take care first and all that. So first, find out what we have, then group them, right? PII, long shelf, and define them or label them. Once we have that, we have to figure out how are we going to protect it. Are we going to use PQC? Are we going to use lattice-based, NIST-approved primitive? What we are going to do with that data, right? To protect it. What are your options in terms of protecting? And then you decide, right, what you want to implement when, right? Once you have everything in line, figure out, okay, your PII or long shelf data, you want to do it in first 6 months, and anything else you want to do between 6 and 18 months, and the low important data, you want to do it after 18 months, right? Something like that. You plan your implementation roadmap, and then obviously you implement and, then you implement and test, and then keep going again, right? You want to make this happen like every other agile software that you do, right? Instead of just one-time deal. So if we have to do this again, we don't end up in this situation. Otherwise, I have to come and talk to you again. So what are the benefits? And I'm sure you all know this, right? I mean, we don't have to go into the details of this. This is like basically general benefits of software agility in general. It would allow you to make very nice implementation. We can easily change the dependency. There is no vendor lock-in. And there's no, it would help you maintain the compliance. The security will improve and all that good stuff. So you are all pros, right, in like software. So I don't have to go into details of each of these bullet points. But the point here is these are the benefits we reap out of implementing this cryptography agility, like any other agile software. So what do we want to implement, right? Now that we know we have to implement something and how we want to implement, what are we going to implement? So there are two different or like two different set of functionality we could use basically on paper. Practically, we could do only PQC. The QC, right, the quantum cryptography, is still works on the photons, right? That's Steven Weisner's idea to actually encode the money, the dollar bill. That basically exact same thing they used in this QED, like quantum encryption key distribution. And I mean, on paper at least, is foolproof, right? Because anytime someone tried to break it or probe it, we would know because it would decode. So there is no way that if hacker tries it and we won't know about it, right? So we would immediately know we have been attacked, compromised, and data will not go anywhere. So that is foolproof. But the problem is we can't do that right now. I mean, this uh, because of the time that we have to manage, and the photons can't be in the sequence, and it is extremely expensive also, right, to do all that. So that is, on paper we have an option, but practically is not really an option. So practically we have to go with PQC. Now what is PQC? Is basically the same thing what we are doing now, like RSA and all that, but we learned, right, from history, and now instead of 10th grade we are going to use some higher math. So even lot of qubits can't even pump out the numbers. So basically it's math based, it's easy to implement because it's a math and software can implement, it would save us money, and we can effectively do that. The downside is it's not as secure as the quantum cryptography, because if somebody steals your data or key, you won't know, right, practically, and somebody could do that. So these are the options. So we have to focus on PQC, right? In next a couple slides, we'll focus on PQC. How can we implement PQC? And then one thing they recommend right now, the strategy is you don't want to implement PQC standalone because it's not implemented yet, right? Widespread at least. So we don't know how secure it is, if it can be break or not. So use both at the same time in the wrapper. That's the strategy we need to go with basically. So here, like, you don't have to just do wrapper, right? There are other options, and there are many other options. I mean, people publish papers all the time on this, that I do this and that. But these three or four are the major ideas that you could implement. One is have both at the same time, right? Like instead of wrapper, we both have the same time. So if one is broken, other would still hopefully stand by. But the security basically reduced to only strength of one, right? So PQC and the like ECC or RSA, the one which we use right now, right? We want to use both at the same time. That's one way of doing it. Other way, like I said, like the wrapper or the nesting, that's better because the hacker has to break the top one first, the PQC, and then he has to get to ECC or RSA or Diffie-Hellman or whichever that you use underneath, right? So that's the one people recommend most commonly right now. The third is again based on the key, right? So basically what they do, they have like two different key, right? One key from like ECC or RSA, the one we use right now, and the other key will be from PQC. And this both key will will fed to KDF, like key distribution framework, and it will spit out new key based on these two keys, and it's how they use. So now we have two keys, but so this is better, but then again we have to have KDF, and it basically slows down, right, your application. So there are more to it than it. And the last one is for it's the same one, but it's basically for the DSA, right, the digital signature, a signature. So when we send the signature, we send two keys now, the ECC or RSA and PQC key, right? And we have to validate both key to decrypt and read the email or the text that you send. So these are the various way we could implement, and again you can read. I mean, I'm not going to read every line, but you get the point. Like, these are the different ways we could make it stronger by implementing two primitives at the same time. The one we use right now, the RSA, ECC, Duffield-Man, and the PQC ones, right? And hopefully one of these you pick and there will be a robust implementation. So there are several ways we can implement PQC, math-based, right? They're all math-based. And so four that we are going to talk about because NIST proposed based on this. So one is like code-based, right? Like it's not like code is not in software code or not the fish even, right? It is like the error code. So what happens when they send a key, right? Say like 256-bit key, they also add some more random bits at the end or like within the key. So when the hacker attack it and get your key in case, hacker would not know which is the real 256 bits and which are the that junk bits. So that is the idea basically. And this is not new. It has been around since 1978. McEllis proposed, and it's still not broken technically, right? And it was up for a discussion when they chose Reindel for AES, right? So this was in the run back in 1998. But the problem with this is it's very slow because it needs very long key plus they add some bits. So you have to spend time in adding the bits, and again when you decrypt, you have to know which bits are extra bits and you have to take it out, then decrypt. So it adds all this time, right? So it is why it is not very popular or efficiently used. The other one is the lattice based. That is the one NIST actually proposed, right? So that is basically vector algebra. So what happens? There are two vectors, right? The long vector is your public key and short vector is your private key. And the goal here is that we have enough lattice based points, right? Dotted points on the vector that even if you have like lots of qubits, they can't really figure out. If you have public key, the qubits can't figure out the private key. That is the goal. So basically, the two vectors and the points on the vectors are your keys. But there are like so many vector points also along with that qubits can keep pumping out numbers long time and still can't figure out which one is your private key. That is basically the goal. And it can also work in FHE, the fully homomorphic encryption. It is very efficient and NIST, I will talk about it. NIST proposed three of these based on these three primitives based on the lattice based algorithms. The other one is basically multivariate. So it's very simple math again. There are like so many equations, right? List of equations, and each equation has multiple unknowns. Like if you have 20 equations with like 2 or 3 unknowns each, so 60 unknowns. Now we tell qubits, go figure which two unknowns are used as my key. Right? That's the goal. And it would take even like on paper, at least they say that even if you have lots of qubits, it takes long time to figure out the right two P and Q out of these, right? So that is the idea. But that is again slower because obviously we have to go through all these keys and unknowns, so it takes longer. So we don't use that. And hash based, we use it right now even, right? Like SHA and everything. And that is not for public key, that is for like a symmetric key. And we used it now and we will use, like I said, it's not broken, it's weakened, and we can increase the key size and it would still be work. So these are the four major, 10 minutes, okay. These are the four major math-based topics they use right now. So here are the NIST, right? NIST published in August of 2024. And the fourth one they gave us a backup in 2025. And these are the publication numbers, FIPS 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can click those links, right, when you get the link if you want to read more about those. In the interest of time, I will go a little faster now. We are almost done actually. So the buzzword, right? It is very hard nowadays, right, to keep people away from the word. Do you know which word? We have to talk about that. Everywhere I go, we talk about it. But we did not use that word in last 45 minutes. Isn't that great? But I have to talk about it because otherwise people won't like me. We have to talk about AI, right? Wherever we go nowadays. But I hold off that word, for 45 minutes. That's the best I could do. But I mean, jokes apart, like AI is being used, yes. But AI can't break encryption. Although AI is great, it can do all these things, right? It can't do the math which qubits can do. And we actually use FHE with AI to protect the AI prompts, LLMs, and all the entire ecosystem. There are like so many companies now trying to use FHE. So actually the other way around, right? The encryption, the cryptography is helping AI, making AI secure. So yeah, I just thought we should talk about AI a little bit. So I put the slide in. The job market, right? At the end of the day, you want a job. So if you are in 40s or early 40s, you are good for years, according to this job demand chart, right? Uh, as you see here, right, this is like in the 2024, we had only 40% job in the quantum security area. And again, this and next two slides are by a company called Quantum Security Search.io. I'll put this. So they are they are based in England, but they have their office here in US also, and they actually spend so much time figuring out how much jobs in this field, right? And according to them, it will peak by 2030 to like 80% the index, and then again until 2035. So next 10, 15 years, we are good to go if we are in this field, right? Uh, all over the world, right? Even the global demand is very high, as you can see, like 9.6% jobs. Like every job, there are percent jobs are basically in quantum security field. So that's a big demand. But that is overall in the world. But of course, like we are US is at that front runner, right? With 41% in US out of the total job in quantum security. So I actually did not ask them how many are there in Orlando, right? I should have, but that's next time maybe. But yeah, so this is for the global demand, and this is for the US, as you can see, by 2035, and like all these different sectors and the field. I mean, I every line, but you can see the demand is very strong. So if you probably good for next few years. Uh, yeah. So what we can, what leaders, what you can do as a team. Talked about all these bits and pieces here and there, but you have to have vision and vigilance, right? And once you have that, you want to implement the agility program, and you want to implement both, right? You don't want to fly solo on PQC yet, because we don't know what's going to happen to PQC. And so, yeah, I think we're almost done. So, yeah, these are the quick takeaways. Like it's not if, it just when, right? Whether it's happening in 2029 or 2031, right? And even if we want to change one key, like we talked about all this, right? So it will take a long time. NIST actually proposed PQC also make this system secure right now. So there is no harm, except it might slow you down a little bit because it has longer key and all that difficult math to go through. And NIST has already proposed this. I think, yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, and like if you want to learn more, right, here are some links. Google, and actually many of these were free until 2 years ago actually. In last year or so, they do charge, but it's still like peanuts, like 60 cents an hour or something. So you could still go and play with those quantum labs if you want. These are a very good playground if you want to learn something about quantum computing in general and cryptography in specific. Yeah, so that's it. And then there is a shameless self promotion, my two books. And any questions?
Anyone have a question? Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, he was first. I had a quick question. So, do you envision quantum computing being rapidly evolving, kind of like AI is today, where once it is live, things today, 6 months from now, could be completely obsolete because it's evolved so fast? Or do you think the growth for quantum computing will be a lot slower?
Yeah, I don't think it will be as fast as AI, right? It will be slower because it's very difficult to manage. Yeah, it is very difficult to manage that coherence time, right? It's like extremely difficult to have all these qubits, and like even if we will have it, right, it won't be available to you and me, right? Like open the laptop, like quantum laptop, and start doing the math. It will probably over the next few years, even if it comes, right? I mean, after it comes, it will be in the labs and things like that at a major level. It will be very expensive. So I mean, I don't see like quantum computer being like in like daily life for next 30, 40 years or like at least 20, 30 years. Does that answer again?
So when this becomes more of a reality, from a national defense type of aspect, how much power would it take? Would you theorize? So, like, if North Korea had broke whatever algorithm to figure this out, how much power would they need? Would it be something that's visible to our, satellites and whatnot?
Oh, how much power and like how many qubits they need to break this? No, no. So quantum computer will not run it, right? Quantum computer will break what we are running. So they will basically try to figure out what is our private keys. And once the hacker has the private key, they can basically decrypt all the data that we have encrypted with that key, right? So, like I said, like the ECC, right? It takes like 370 million qubits. That's the number of qubits they need to break ECC right now.
We have a question over here.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought the
Thank you.
power in terms of how many power. I mean, how much power? Ah, it would take a lot. I don't have numbers, but right now, actually, they are trying, and even to see, they have to maintain the temperature very low to maintain this coherent state, and yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of energy, but I don't know the numbers. I don't know exact numbers, but I can probably find out.
Hi, thank you. Quick question. So when we see the estimates of average or the time to break a certain algorithm, is that taking into account it computing through every single possible iteration, or is it taking an average, given it might find it in its halfway through every iteration or whatever?
It's an average.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Last one. That's it? Okay. That concludes the Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.